Welcome and many thanks to all those who attended my presentations at Marketing Week Live last week. I'm John Heffernan from Foundry Digital Marketing, and last week I actually delivered 3 presentations over the 2 days to 400 plus visitors in the Digital and Data Conference, which was hosted by eConsultancy, and the Digital and Data Content Marketing Theatre on both day 1 and day 2. I'm now delighted to make these presentations available to all of you who could not attend, although my audience questioning, participation and the habit of wandering around the stage will be sadly missing for you guys who can't see me. But that's probably good news because, as I quite often say, I do have a face that's designed for radio. A quick introduction to the Foundry Digital Marketing Company. Foundry was actually started in 1998. We recently celebrated our 15th birthday. Our continued expansion through 2013 ensures that we do provide a very comprehensive digital marketing service both in the UK and internationally for a very, very wide range of clients, from the SME through to FTSE 100 corporate companies. This presentation is not, however, a Foundry Digital Marketing sales pitch, and very much far from it. The aim is hopefully to educate and inform, and the initial feedback from attendees from last week has actually been excellent, and I don't mind sort of using this as a bit of a session. I don't want the session to become a blatant sales pitch, and in fact one of the comments I actually had back last week was it was the only session that I attended that didn't become a blatant sales pitch. I was also told that the presentation was both engaging and informative and excellent, but you're the judges, and obviously any feedback you guys want to provide with me at the end of the presentation, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Okay, so if I've got one key message for you to take, it's simply that all elements of the digital marketing strategy cannot survive as individual channels. The lines between SEO, PPC, and even social media have blurred very much so. And more importantly, I think that in some instances they've actually merged together. Search without social at the moment is destined to fail. If you actually treat all of these digital marketing elements as individual channels, individually they may succeed for a while, but as a group concern, they will ultimately fail. The strategy for the future has to be a focus on integrated digital marketing. And I apologise if I'm talking about a whole new ball game, and I've got football references throughout the presentation, but it is this whole new way of looking at things. But is SEO dead? A lot of people have actually been talking to me recently. SEO's had some really bad press. People have had failed campaigns, often very costly campaigns. They've had fluctuating results, and a lot of people complain about too much reliance on the techie team. And we also get complaints about the viewpoint of SEO agency delivery and client expectations being completely polarized. And of course, management of expectations in any project is key. As Monty Python once said, you know, this parrot is deceased, for those of you old enough to remember Monty Python. But SEO is not dead, and actually conducted correctly, it never will die. What has simply happened is that more attention has been applied by the search engines to social media and content to align with SEO, which means that the reins of the tactic and the strategy have almost been handed back to the marketeer rather than the techie. Not that you don't need the techie anymore, certainly you do in terms of making sure that the foundations of your site and structure and architecture are correct. But Google is changing its search algorithm purely and simply to mean that sites that don't deserve to be on page 1 are either removed or prevented from getting there in the first place. And there's lots of latest updates that continue to roll out, which I'll talk about more later, which actually show that from an SEO perspective, this digital marketing, integrated digital marketing of SEO, social and content is really the key to future success. All tactics have died. You know, some of you may remember the old football tactics that are there. Well, remember the traditional SEO tactics of the link wheel and directories and article marketing, all of which in their day were very valid tactics and actually produced excellent results. But SEO is continually evolving. And the latest buzzword that I continually hear is content marketing. And some people are actually talking about content marketing if it's brand new. Well, content marketing has actually been around since the concept of marketing actually began. Content marketing is not new. What content is actually new from a digital point of view. It's not just words. It could be images, videos, social comments, mentions. But of course, any form of content in whatever format, it needs to be engaging, informative, interesting. We need to use, we need to share, we need to like. And this is really the involvement of the whole process. So are we looking at things in a different way? And I actually think that SEO certainly isn't dead, but perhaps we'd actually need to look in possibly one or two different directions. As Matt Cutts once said, he's one of the Google gurus, he said, if you think you need to be everywhere at once, you're headed in the right direction. And that's probably the best and most apt phrase that I can actually discuss today. The old England tactics of lumping the ball up front for the big lad to head in the net. Well, firstly, certainly I'm not the big lad, but secondly, those tactics just will not work today. We have to be a lot more like Spain or Brazil with SEO, social media, content marketing strategies. They need to be fluid, agile, flexible, adaptable, interchangeable. And what it's about at the end of the day is that your digital marketing activity should be entirely designed to give you a competitive advantage. Winston Churchill once said, it doesn't matter how beautiful the strategy is, you need to occasionally look at the results. And the result that you need to attain is that you are kicking downhill and that it's your competitors that have got the uphill challenge, not the other way around. But one other key message that I have for you today is actually to stop chasing the algorithm. Every time there's a Google update, I hear about people jumping, creating work, and having to do something, and there are many Google updates are being rolled out continually. So what it really means from my point of view is that if you or your agency are continually having to jump to the algorithm, you're doing something wrong. The main change you need to be aware of is the increased relevance and authority gained by social media channels and content over the last couple of years. Right? You may think you've got the best website or the best website content in the world, but unless social media channels are endorsing your belief and engaging with your content, Google will actually disagree with you. So social proof is almost the be-all and the end-all. But if you're creating quality content on and off-site, and you're actually distributing that to where your audience is, you won't have to kill the Google dragon. You don't have to chase the dragon. Effectively, you will not have to change every time an update comes through. So what we need to do is look at developing a business digital marketing culture. Buy-in from the top down. The great people on the board need to understand the vagaries of particularly Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other social media channels and how they can actually interact and how they can actually use them from a marketing-led and truly integrated digital marketing strategy. I always think of integrated digital marketing as a jigsaw puzzle. There's 1,000 pieces. If you have them all, fantastic. You are likely to get top visibility on page one. If you've only got 500 of those pieces, that may be fine if your competitors have only got 499. But that leads into, what have your competitors got? Are they ahead of you? Have they got more pieces of the jigsaw? Are they actually identifying extra elements of the picture? If you've got different departments, teams or agencies, for SEO, PPC or social, let's face it, they've got to talk to each other. They need to cross-pollinate. You need to share learnings. So what we need to look at essentially now is what's the main difference between an SEO and a PPC strategy? Let's start off with the fundamentals. In terms of PPC, you're controlling the keywords and the message and the landing page. So when people are searching and they're finding your link and they're clicking through, you know you can actually control the whole process. With SEO, you're only influencing that process. And that influencing factor comes down to the Google algorithm. Are you ticking the boxes that Google wants to see? Are you providing that unique, engaging content? Have you got the right level of authority and relevance? Because at the end of the day, we all search. So whatever words or phrases we search on, as a business, you need to identify those words or phrases. What are people looking for? Not what you want to be found for. What are they looking for? Are you being found for that? Have you got a targeted message that's actually going to drive the traffic through to your site? And when they get there, is the landing page actually relevant to the word or phrase? Are you driving them to something that's going to provide a better call to action? When we look at the driving of conversions, you then start to lead into a whole different topic of SEO, landing page conversion optimization. Once they get there, how optimized is the page to create a click-through or a call to action? Are you getting those click-throughs? Are people clicking the back button and leaving your site? But if they are engaging with your site and they're staying on the site, are they actually then performing some function, or are they leaving the site without actually doing anything with you? And that's where I've got an example here of Lead Forensics, who actually had a stand at Marketing Week Live, and effectively they give you a second bite of the cherry. They're analysing the traffic that comes to your site who do not interact with you, and they're giving you an option of actually following up that content in the future. More about that later. But Google's always changing the process in some ways to try and improve, in their eyes, the whole system, functionality, and the way it actually works from a user experience point of view. I asked the question of the audience, how many people have got PPC campaigns running currently? Well, PPC is actually changing, and it's actually changing on the 22nd of July, so not long to go. And Google have launched this Google Enhanced Campaigns, and effectively what it means is that your PPC campaigns can now be structured and configured, not just for location in terms of local search, people who are searching within 10 miles or 25 miles or UK-wide, but more importantly, to do with the device. Are they searching for you on a mobile or a tablet or a desktop? And what time of the day are they searching? So you can now really redefine your visibility through paid search. If you don't actually take action before the 22nd of July, Google will actually display your campaign ads regardless. So you may find that you are involved in mobile search and you could see a spike in your budget, which will obviously increase because you're getting wider visibility across a different range of platforms. So my simple message here is, if you've got a paid search campaign and you actually haven't taken action regarding enhanced campaigns yet, you need to do so, and you need to do it now. But from an SEO point of view, we'd still come back to the main titles: accessibility, relevance, credibility, speed. How accessible is your site? Is the site effectively up to the task? Has it got SEO architecture? Has it got SEO structure? Is the content right? What's the directory depth? Have you got your page titles right? Have you got your H1 coding right? Is the sitemap configured? All of those technical issues which you still need the technical person for to make sure that your website is built correctly in the first place. Once you've then got that accessibility issue right, in terms of relevance, how relevant is the site? Have you got the content written in the right way? Is it written for the user? Does it involve keywords and key phrases and families of phrases related to it? More of that later. What credibility have you got? Inbound links being one factor, natural link profile being a key element to that. How long have you had the site? How often do you update the site? And one of the latest additions to this whole process is speed. Google is looking, as part of the algorithm improvements, at usability, the user experience. So how quickly does the site actually load? Can they get to the information that they require quickly and easily? Now, the last Google Penguin update, 22nd of May, there's actually been a rollout since then of several sort of smaller versions. But the main one on the 22nd of May was all about web spam. And Google said themselves it was going to be far more comprehensive than anything that had come before. But in essence, what it really said was, we are endorsing the whole need for social interaction, quality content, building authority, presenting the right quality signals. And if you are doing that through a content strategy and a content marketing strategy, then that update effectively will not actually impact on you or your business or your site's performance. Let's look at some Google statements. But 16th of October last year, if you actually looked at the webmaster instructions for optimization, they talked about increasing the number of high-quality sites that link to their pages. This is how webmasters can improve site visibility. Now, obviously what we were talking about then was link building. But if you actually see a post-Penguin update, the 27th of May, what we're now talking about is creating high-quality sites that users will want to use and share. So almost we've come full circle. It's now about how good is your website, how relevant is your website, how authoritative is your website, how good is the content on the site. Is that content what users want to engage with, to talk about, and actually discuss? So I talk about now that link building as an SEO element is actually dead. It's now about link earning. Content and link earning. The links that you should actually get should be earned links through the content that you distribute, and that content should produce a natural linking profile. So, link earning, not link building. Let's change that mindset. So the greater emphasis, again, and you'll see how social and SEO have merged, the emphasis is on effectively all of the shares, the likes, the friends, the pins, etc. Social evolution of link earning is here and now. You know, a tweet has a value, but a retweet has significantly more value. And the more times you can be retweeted, the better it's going to be from an SEO point of view. Pins and shares are actually votes for quality content, such as old-style link building. Links coming in used to be votes for the value of your site. And a lot of people I was talking to were actually talking about the problem that they actually have with historical elements. So one of the suggestions that I always say to people is, if you've got a site that's been there for several years and you don't want to rebuild it or redesign it, what you need to do is analyze it. You need to do a site audit, make sure that the site's structured correctly, that you are ticking all the boxes, you are applying to all the Google rules, but you also then need to make sure that the links, the inbound links that you currently have into your site, are not causing you any problem. do a link detox. Have a look. There is lots of tools out there that you can use, some of which I'm happy to share after this presentation. And effectively what you can do is analyze your own site. If there's a problem there or a problem that may be there for the future, then do something about it. Take action, resolve it now. The good news is you might be happily surprised to find that you haven't got a problem and therefore you can move forward on solid foundations. But we talk about content and content creating links, and here's just an example of how, and we'll bash the payday loan lenders again, but how certain types of content producers actually are causing the problems that Google are now trying to correct through their content spam algorithm updates. In this particular instance, if you read the sentence there with payday loan as the link, it says to show you to improve your workout in a short amount of time, which enable it to payday loan you stay healthy. It's not even English. You know, that link has just been placed in the middle of some pretty poor content and posted up by dear old Mary, and there were thousands and thousands of pages like this with payday loan, fast cash loan links, all of which were designed to create inbound links to those sites to give the appearance that they were far more authoritative and far more relevant than they actually were. And Google is now cleaning up this system and getting rid of this type of scenario. And what we're now looking at is actually the latest development, latent semantic indexing, LSI. And the best way I could describe LSI is if I talk about a pet and say my pet ran outside, barked at the postman, chased the man on the bike, came back inside wagging his tail. He truly is man's best friend. And you all know that I'm talking about my dog. But I didn't actually mention the word dog. Well, latent semantic indexing is all about using words in context and families and phrases of words that are semantically relevant. So it's no longer about individual key phrases, it's about a group family of phrases. It's about the parent phrases, the child phrases, the nieces, the nephews, the aunts, the uncles, all the phrases that are related that could actually lead back to giving you authority for headline brand phrases. And part of that search, the latent semantic indexing process, is about saying, what are you actually searching for? What is your intent? And on the back of that, Google have recently launched the Google Knowledge Graph. And again, that's trying to identify the context of how you're searching, what phrases you're typing in, and what is it you're specifically looking for. And if you want to play around with that, just type in Google Knowledge Graph into Google, go and have a look. You'll soon see it displayed on all of your search routes. It's a sort of another evolvement of the instant search, suggestions of phrases, etc. But we need to go back to the basics. And in terms of an online optimization program, or programs, that could spell oops, we need to basics. Well, where is your audience? What phrases do you need to search for? And I'm still amazed at how many people launch digital marketing strategies that they think are going to be successful without actually doing the research in the first place to find out where their audience is, how their audience is interacting, what are they searching for, where are they searching for it, is it on mobile, is it tablet, is it laptop, are they searching for different types of phrases than you actually think you need to be found for? Are they actually using social media more than search channels? So what you need to do is effectively is make sure that you do that research in the first instance. What phrases are people looking for? More importantly, you could also say what phrases are your competitors actually being found for. So you're doing some market research as part of the process. And part of the analysis that I give to that is if you're starting out and you actually do some research and find that for particular phrases you want to be found for, you have little or no visibility, you could be trying to climb Everest and you've not even reached base camp yet. But you might find for those phrases that your competitors are at the top of Everest planting the flag. They're already there. They are way ahead of you. So in that case, if you're going to spend budget marketing on an SEO campaign for particular phrases, you've got to be in it for the long haul. It's not going to be a quick win process to get to the top of that mountain and plant that flag. So what we then do is endorse this to try and speed up the process through content marketing. And what content marketing at the end of the day is about is creating visibility away from your site. If your content marketing strategy is all to do with your website and your blog, that's fantastic, as long as everybody's coming to your website and to your blog. But what if they're not? You need to distribute that content as wide and as varied routes as possible, and make sure that if you've got brand mentions, and those brand mentions include your not just your company brand, but your words, your phrases, etc., then the essence would be that you need to make sure that you're actually covered in every aspect so that people are seeing you, who you are, where you are, what you're doing. And you can use things like newsjacking, great phrase that's coming out at the moment. And it's a lovely phrase. It really talks about viral spread. And newsjacking is all about looking at a headline news story that's very, very much in the news of the day. And if you've got some association to that story, if you can actually hang a campaign around that story, may not actually involve you directly, but you can talk about it, you can tweet about it, you can post about it, and that means that basically you are then getting the benefit of that major news story. The trick is to syndicate. When I say syndicate, spread the word. Don't just produce your content, don't just produce an online PR piece and stick it up on PR web. Actually make sure that the distribution of that content is far and wide. That gives you then a more natural profile, it gives you a wider visibility, it gives you the traffic that you want, and it will produce a natural link process coming back into you. In terms of mobile, well, in terms of mobile, what we have from a mobile point of view is the stats. 75% of mobile searches actually lead to an action, which is phenomenal. 77% will actually use a mobile even if they're sitting near to a desktop. So from that point of view, we've got to say you then need to be looking at how people search on a mobile. Does that fit in with your digital marketing strategy? Right? Is it because of that speed and convenience element of having the mobile to hand? Are they going to use that more? So the key issue then becomes your website and your content. Is your website, has it been built in a responsive design? Will it actually display through mobile? Will it display on a tablet? Will it display correctly on a desktop? And from that point of view, from the whole responsive element, have you got a site that's actually going to interact in the right way and provide what people want? The biggest culprits of these tend to be the travel industry, who often have flash-based sites that don't render on an iPad. All you get is a blank page. So your site needs to be responsive, it needs to adapt to the particular channel, and if you find your audience are actually viewing through those particular channels, you need to make sure that you're focusing in that particular area. From a social media point of view, all of this action, social media, mobile interaction, etc., it is supporting SEO. It will improve your authority, and of course authority improvement and the relevancy of authority will actually improve your positions. Positioned improvements will obviously generate more traffic will generate click-throughs, and then you'll get conversions on whatever level conversions are. But which social channels actually fit you best? There are thousands of them. There are a lot more than just the main headline ones that we all hear about. There's some specific industry sectors, there's some that are small and very, very niche, there are some that may actually suit you or your product because that's where your audience are. But whatever you do, you need to make sure that your foundations for all of these are actually exactly the same as they need to be from your website point of view. You need to build it correctly from outset. Make sure you've got a well-built presence and an image and authority. And as we always say, don't jump into this. Stop, look and listen. Have a think about it beforehand. If you're going to engage with your audience, you don't want to be like me sitting watching the Wolverhampton Wanderers every week in the sad, lonely stand. What we need to do is find out where your audience is. Listen to the conversation. So the topics that you want to be talking about, who's already talking about them? Where are they talking about them? What time of the day? In what platform? How often? Analyze that whole process. See where it's actually going to bring you the best business benefit. And then you need to start to engage and you need to interact and you need to become part of the conversation. And if you get it wrong, you can seriously get it wrong. This was one house builder, one of the largest in the UK. This lady in particular, she went onto their Facebook wall and she made a comment about them being absolutely useless. I won't use the correct terms that she used. By the time this had finished, there was 90 plus comments on this Facebook wall, all slating this particular company, and it turned out it was a very, very minor problem that she'd had. Nobody had been around to fix it, or they cancelled the appointment 2 or 3 times. It was an easy fix, but worse still, it was up there for 7 days. There was nobody actually looking at their own strategy, their own platform, and therefore this negative publicity was there. So if you are going to do this properly, you need to make sure you're offering the right time, the right resource, the right tactics, the right tools. You need to have the management buy-in, and you need to be reviewing it on a regular basis. And from a social media point of view, why not start out as you mean to go on? Look at what your current visibility is. Where are people talking about you? Right? What sort of following have you got? From that, you can actually decide how to best place your social strategy. If Facebook isn't for you, leave Facebook alone and maybe use Twitter or LinkedIn from a business point of view. Right? Can you engage? Can you build authority? Where's the best place for you to do that? Do that initial research. Lovely couple of quotes here. Ben Franklin, either write something worth reading about or do something worth writing about. He should have written that for social media. There is so much social media content out there which is rubbish. It's boring, it's bland, banal, not useful, not engaging, turns people away. And then we have the scenario from Abe Lincoln, who actually said, I'm sorry for writing such a long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one. Well, that could have been written for Twitter. You've only got 140 characters to put your business message across, and it's going to take you an awful lot more time to focus on 140 characters and give a really good business engaging message than it is to write a page of A4. You need to become an authority, and the way that you need to do that is to make sure that you're writing the content for the person who's going to read it, and it's going to be user-friendly and engaging. But you don't have to write in a different way. Social media and SEO, they all follow the same rules. And at the end of the day, you should be writing with the same tone of voice, the same sentiment, the same participation as your audience. You don't have to learn a whole different platform. You don't have to write differently for social as you do for SEO. I asked the question of a lot of people in the audience, how many people have got a Google Plus account? And a lot put their hand up. And when I actually mentioned the rel author coding on Google Plus, very, very few people were aware of it. Well, Google will tell you themselves that Google Plus has no direct bearing on SEO, but all the evidence suggests entirely to the contrary. If you haven't got a Google Plus account, I recommend you set one up for business and start engaging with it and start publishing content through Google Plus and using the Google Plus search tools to find other people on Google Plus with similar likes and interests that you can start to engage with as influencers and authorities in that area. But the rel author coding is a key factor, because what it basically means is any piece of content that you produce through Google Plus, you can put a relevancy of author coding tag on that content, and it identifies you or your company or your brand as a relevancy author, as an author of note, as somebody who is an authority in your sector. So effectively what it means is over a period of time, you are building up a voice which could actually produce your listings on the top page of Google, where your website may not be there. Your Google Plus may be seen to be the authority page. So, if I was to summarize, if you produce great original on and off-site content that's actually structured well, quality and unique is absolutely key. Right? You are going to rank well, and you're going to rank well across all the different platforms. As with everything to do with social media, everything in terms of social media starts with a conversation. We would love to speak to you. Let's start the conversation. Thank you very, very much for listening.